Hey, welcome to Intern Connect, the podcast where we prove the best place to launch your career might be closer than you think. I'm your host, Karen George, the program manager for Hello West Michigan. Whether you're halfway through your first internship, still figuring out what to do with your life, or just trying to find a coffee shop that isn't a 45-minute drive away, this podcast is for you. West Michigan is having a moment. From the lakeshore to downtown Grand Rapids, companies here are doing big things, and they want you to be a part of it. Each episode, we'll sit down with former interns who turned their summers into careers, local coordinators who know what it takes to stand out, and HR leaders who are actively looking for the next generation of West Michigan talent. Consider this your pregame to the West Michigan Intern Connect Conference happening this June. Now let's get connected. All right. I am here today with Bev Thiel, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Kent County. Hi, Bev. Thank you for joining me today.
Excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about your career journey? Tell us where you started, what pivots you made along the way, and how did you end up where you are?
Well, I was a graduate of a university where I majored in education.
Oh, wow.
I had thought that I was going to be a teacher. Particularly physical education. So I ended up in the fitness industry for about 25 years. So doing, anything fitness, right? Whether it was an instructor or leading a department. And then I became a director of a branch of a YMCA. So I really began to get into leadership from the perspective of a nonprofit and board governance and working with operations, working in community. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So nonprofit work is all that I've done my entire career. And so about 6 years ago, I landed at Habitat for Humanity. And I was particularly excited about the opportunity because I wasn't really familiar with housing. And what it allowed me to do was really rely on all of the experts that were already employed at Habitat to do all of their great work. And I could focus on operations, efficiencies, board governance, and what was going to be the next big thing that we did. And
That's so cool.
Yeah, so my career really has been, I oftentimes say, I liken it to when you were growing up and your mom and dad set parameters for you. And you would say, when I'm a mom or a dad, I'm not going to do that. This is what I'm going to do. And I kind of did that with my leadership journey.
Yeah.
When I'm running an organization or in a leadership position, I'm going to think about things differently from being in the pack to being a leader in the organization. So that's kind of driven me in how I think about the opportunities we provide for employees at Habitat, the changes we're trying to make, and kind of how we get there.
Has your perspective changed since you became a leader? Did you realize, I understand why all the leaders act that way?
So when I was at the YMCA in Lenawee County, the executive director got a different job, and so I was interim. And I had my office was next to his office. And whenever I had to go make big decisions, I would go sit at that desk. And I don't know why. I felt like maybe it was the opportunity to okay, now I'm that person. And it was very quickly that I learned, it's just not about the fitness department. There's childcare and membership and aquatics and sports. And all of a sudden you begin to see the whole view, right? Now you have the whole city view of what you're looking at. And to me, that was the turning point in a great leader has to take that whole picture into play, but also has to be able to be intentional enough with each department to make sure that they understand direction and that they understand that their voice is heard too.
Absolutely.
That was the turning point for me of leadership.
That's amazing. That's great. And I really appreciate that you had so many pivots in your journey, that you started out in education and now you're a Habitat. That doesn't seem like it would be a straight line, but it's important for our interns and for, all young professionals to know that those pivots can happen throughout, and you get to build on, each step of your career, you're building on the last one. You don't have to end up in one linear
When
spot.
I was in the YMCA, I never thought I could do anything else because there's not anything else that compares to that nonprofit, right? And so as you start to think about what am I going to do next, you really put yourself in a box. Instead, you have to think about all of those skills you've learned over time. And so housing wasn't the skill that I knew, but the passion for a mission, the leadership of a small team. I think that's how, if you're a young professional, you're starting to think, how am I going to get out of this box of where I am? It's really leveraging those skills that you have and what you've learned along the way.
Absolutely. It's less about the knowledge and more about those durable skills, those soft skills that we talk about so much.
Relationships.
Relationships.
In West Michigan.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. So speaking of West Michigan, can you tell us about how you ended up in West Michigan and what's kept you here?
Well, I had always aspired to come to work at the YMCA in West Michigan because, in Grand Rapids particularly, because they had a childcare center on the second floor. And I was like, how does that even happen where you have a playground outside on the second floor? So I knew they were innovative, and I just really wanted to be here. So we moved here about 18 years ago.
Wow.
My son was in second grade, so it was like now or never, right? Because like you get any older and you're not going to want to move here. My kids are multiple years apart. So my daughter was in college. And she fell in love with Grand Rapids. So it just became a place where I remember the first few days in the summer, the sky was always blue to me here. And it has something to do with Lake Michigan, I guess. I don't know. But like it just felt to me like a different place to be. And then as I got to be more embedded in community, it really became a lot about the relationships. Now there is a whole West Michigan culture that's really fascinating to learn. But to raise a family and to be transplanted in a community, second grade's not an easy time either. A lot of friendships are already made. And so today we're all living in West Michigan. So my daughter and her husband moved here several years ago and started their family. My son graduated from college now, and he's like focused on staying here. So
That's great.
I think the culture of the community of you can be in Grand Rapids or a suburb quickly. You can. There's just so many things to do. I'm amazed whenever we go home. I think, oof, what does everybody do here all day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I
Oh my
think for
gosh.
us, it's just been an exciting time and an exciting place to be.
Absolutely. We're very centralized. So it's very easy to get to the lakeshore or down to Chicago or Detroit. And we're in a very good spot, and there's so much to do. You're absolutely right. So for listeners who may not know a lot about Habitat for Humanity, can you walk us through the mission and how the organization actually works, and maybe dispel some of those misconceptions that you've mentioned?
So Habitat for Humanity is all around affordable home ownership. So our focus really is on first-time home buyers having a home. We will build that home or we may rehab that home, but that they will own the home, they will own the land. It is their piece of property. And the process really is us walking alongside of qualified home buyers. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about someone who has around the 640 credit score, is earning at least around $55,000 as a single person. And then if you're a family of four, the maximum you can earn is around $85,000.
Gotcha.
If you fall in that range, we provide the opportunity for you to buy a home on the market. And really what is happening in the current real estate market is if you are our home buyer, so first-time home buyers, folks who are really, like you said earlier, young professionals in the industry, it's really hard for them to beat the market. So somebody else is going to come in and offer more for that house, and it takes that buyer out of the market. Habitat homes are priced. What you see is what you get. If you're interested in that home, then we begin working with you on that home. And the price of that home will be really based on your income level and your ability to pay for the home. You'll reach out to a lender, you'll get qualified for a mortgage, and then we provide subsidy along the way to make sure that you can afford that home and you're not paying any more than 35% of your income. So we're really focused on making the home affordable for the long term. And many of our homeowners, it's their forever home.
Yeah.
But in the current culture, in the current environment, we're really looking at folks to say, this is your first time opportunity to be in home ownership, to build some wealth and some equity in that home that you won't get paying rent.
Yeah.
Your mortgage will likely be less than your rent is right now. And you begin to understand the basics of home ownership in a brand new home.
That's great.
So you really can't quite beat all of that. And so really our focus is to provide the home and to also walk alongside folks in an education process. So let's say your credit score isn't 640 or you're not quite there with your income, but in the long term, you really want to be a homeowner. We're really walking alongside you and putting you through financial education classes, coaching, credit coaching, whatever it is that you need to get you ready for that homeownership experience. That's really our focus today and how we're trying to get folks into homes.
This might be a silly question, but if your income changes, if it goes up in the next, obviously, you're not going to stay at the same salary forever. So what does the mortgage change? What changes?
No, nothing changes on our end. So the difference between a rental situation in affordable rental and affordable housing is the person that's applying for the mortgage has the mortgage with the lender, becomes their mortgage. If we have to subsidize that through government grants or philanthropy to make the cost of that home work, it doesn't change for the home buyers as their income goes up.
Gotcha.
At the time of sale, they'll walk away with equity for what they brought to the home.
Gotcha.
So the long-term equity piece is the piece that really should be the focus for a young buyer.
Absolutely. So for the interns listening, who many of whom are in their early 20s, they might not necessarily be thinking about buying a house, especially in this market. Why should affordable home ownership even be on their radar right now?
I think, when I think about it, I think about the conversations that I've had and the conversations I remember having when I first graduated from college or got out of trade school or, just began my career. I just never thought I was going to be in, Columbiana, Ohio. Like, please get me away from here as quick as possible. And those days turns into months, and those months turns into years. And before you know it, you've paid rent for 4 or 5 years, and you own nothing, and you've not really invested in your home. You may have bought furniture and those types of things. To flip the switch on that and think about making that investment in your home, your very first home for the first 5 years, even if you decide to move, your Habitat home does not need to be your forever home, but it is the best starter home you will ever have.
Absolutely.
Our homes are built to LEED certifications. They're Energy Star efficient, very efficient homes. So behind those walls, it's just the difference people see in their utilities from rent. So you're really setting yourself up to be able to save, even if it is for that next home, or to really plant yourself in the community. But I think oftentimes we think, I won't be here long, or, well, Habitat homes aren't meant for me. That can't be me. I don't need a charity. And I think when you talk about misconceptions, that's one of them. Our homeowners pay a mortgage. They all have full-time jobs working. I mean, they're making a minimum salary of $55,000. They have full-time jobs. So it really is saying we're just honestly leveraging all the subsidies we can to get you into that house. The house isn't substandard. Most of the houses we built now are in developments, meaning the Pleasant Hills development will be 54 units. Pretty good chance there'll be a lot of young professionals in that development. And so you're going to be now in community with others like you.
That's fantastic. That's great. And I think it addresses a nationwide problem, right? It's not just, we can't afford a home here. It's everywhere across the country. It's really difficult for young professionals to afford a home. So this is a really great.
There really is. Young professionals, and we look at the other spectrum too. The theory of housing is there's a lot of boomers that are sitting in these large homes that this family that's growing would love to have.
Yeah.
And if we can keep people moving in that pipeline of housing, and the boomers are now moving into affordable housing, now it opens up that house, right? So we're all along every price point because of the housing crisis. Any housing helps alleviate that pressure and get somebody else into their home.
Absolutely. Beyond building homes, what other programs or resources does Habitat for Humanity offer to help families achieve long-term financial stability?
So we talked a little bit about the financial education courses. There's down payment assistance that comes with some of that coursework. And down payment assistance, as we all know, can be huge in what your actual mortgage payment will be, right? So that's one of the pieces that's really important when you're going through any sort of organization that's helping you with affordable housing. All of those grants and benefits come alongside a nonprofit. So that's a big piece of it. We also do a lot of neighborhood engagement, meaning we're spending time with our home buyers to make sure that they're comfortable in their neighborhood, that they understand the community resources there. We go as far as putting them through courses if they want to learn how to be very outspoken in their community, or they want to be a community representative, they want to be a neighborhood representative. We're hoping that once they move into their neighborhood, they're going to plant themselves in that and help direct change. And so we spend a lot of time working on advocacy or those things that help people speak up and be heard. It's very important to our work. And then other services we offer is our Restore. So a lot of folks may know or not know about our Restore. Our Restore is full of donations of building supplies and home supplies. So, for example, so many folks who want to remodel their kitchen. We'll call Habitat. We'll take out all of their old cabinets and vanities and sell them at the restore. And then they can go ahead and remodel their kitchen. And so we're like a discount building supply center, which is really the other side of I think about that oftentimes. We offer the opportunity for someone to not only have this first time home, but some of the things they'll need to keep it up at a really, really, really reasonable price.
That's great. It makes everything accessible and teaches those skills, and it develops the community. That's amazing. So for young professionals who are interested in getting involved as volunteers, are there opportunities with Habitat for Humanity in that regard?
All of the time. And we've really tried to really focus on how can we get volunteers in and it makes sense for them. So used to be 8-hour days, and let's be serious, like in this gig economy and these people that like, we can't walk away from that.
Yeah.
So how can we make it a networking opportunity? How can we make it a smaller opportunity? And so, for example, groups all of the time come together. So let's say you have a group and they want 4 or 5 of them want to come out on site and work together. They're building a home, but they're also building team. They're building a network, and they're building a community among themselves. So we really offer all kinds of opportunities. And I wouldn't want anybody to think that it's just building a home. It's working in the restore. And many, many times it's skills people have that help us advance our mission. So we've had folks come forward and help in the offices. We have interns that come in and will help us with projects. That's great. It's really like, what is your skill set that you'd like to help us advance our mission? And let's see how we can do that.
That's awesome. So you mentioned networking and how volunteering is a great networking opportunity. We hear from a lot of interns that they know it's important to network, especially in West Michigan. Building those relationships is key, but they need help figuring out how to do it. Do you have any networking tricks that you could share with them?
It's so funny because I have my son and his friend are just starting in the world of networking. And so I didn't even think about it when one of my friends said, Draga, why aren't you taking them? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it. So I'm fascinated by it because I think this generation is very good at it. I think that the misconception is that you need to walk away with so many business cards and so many contacts. And really, like if you have one meaningful conversation, whether it leads to a sale or it's even in alignment with what you're out there trying to sell, the idea is the next time that you show up at that event, you're going to have one friend in the room. And so it's really leveraging that space of connecting with 1 or 2 people and reconnecting after the event, whether it's through email or text messaging or however it is, to stay connected. I think there's no better place than West Michigan for connections. It may appear to be a big community, but it's not. You will run into the same people over and over, but I think it's just letting go of the fear of networking, how many contacts you have to have, showing up and being authentic, and letting people know why you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Quality over quantity.
It really is. It really is.
That's fantastic. So if folks are interested in, reaching out to Habitat for Humanity to buy a house or to volunteer, where can they connect with you?
First place they should go is our webpage, and that's habitatkent.org. And so that would show you homes we have for sale, how to get into that home ownership process, anything in financial education classes that you're interested in. It would just introduce you to the organization.
Yeah.
If you wanted to volunteer, it would lead you right to opportunities to volunteer, and you could sign up right online. Donate, whatever it is that you want. That's the place where I would urge you to start your exploration.
That's great. And you will also be at West Michigan Intern Connect this summer. So you'll have a table. So if people have questions, they can ask you there. Is that right?
Yes. Awesome. And we will have some really awesome homes ready very shortly for this group to be looking at. Yeah, it'll be really fun for folks to see what we have.
That's really cool. And so where are the homes that you're building? Or what neighborhoods are we looking at?
So right now our focus is on Roosevelt Park neighborhood. So that's the Pleasant Hills project. There'll be 54 homes. 7 of those are complete now. The next 20 will begin in the next few weeks. And those will be built by Eastbrook Homes. And then the final 24 will be a 5-story for sale. Kind of look like a condo building, but they'll be for sale. And that will break ground in July. So
that's great.
Yeah. So we will have multiple. We're also part of the Amplify project over in Boston Square. And then we're doing other projects throughout the community, really focusing on coming in and doing density. Not all will be condos, but when we talk density, 15 to 20 houses at a time. So we're building community. It feels like that's where the home buyer wants to be in Grand Rapids. So that's what we're trying to provide.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And then finally, I've been asking everybody about their West Michigan favorites. So can you share with us maybe your favorite restaurant or favorite coffee shop, maybe any hidden gems that you would feel comfortable recommending to our young professionals?
Yeah. So young professionals. Okay. So I live in Cedar Springs and I feel like it gets a really bad rap. So I would say the Red Bird Bistro in Cedar Spring is one of the best kept secrets. So there's a chef on site. The menu is never the same. The specials are crazy. The drinks are fantastic. And
Awesome.
there's never a wait.
Oh.
And and it's just a cool place to be. So that would be my number one restaurant there. What I would say, and I'm obviously homes and decorating homes is for me. And so I was very much paying attention to the whole Century Antique Mall situation down there. And I would say if I were new to this area or had an apartment or a place I would go to any one of those antique shops because they have some really amazing things at crazy prices.
That's great.
I get lost down there for hours on lunch break. So I would say those are my two.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Bev, for joining us. It was really great to chat about the opportunities available for housing and just to learn more about you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Intern Connect. If you haven't already, make sure you're registered for the main event, June 10th at the Amway Grand Plaza in Grand Rapids. It's the state's largest conference for interns, and it's going to be a day full of real conversations, real connections, and real opportunities. And the fun doesn't stop there. The Intern Connect social series keeps the momentum going all summer long with Bocce Night at Silva GR on June 16th and an evening at Millennium Park on July 15th. Head to hellowestmichigan.com to register and get all the details. We'll see you there.